The next generation of offensive advancement is here and ready to execute your every command.
Warning, said every robot should only be used by trained operators. The owner assumes all responsibility for damage done to beings, places, or property. Please battle responsibly.
This week in game news, Blizzard met with the Nostalrius team, Terraria received a Wii U release date of June 28th, Oculus Rift shipping for pre-orders is still behind, but you can purchase one at Best Buy? We have more details on that. Dishonored 2 is coming out November 11th, Persona 5 is coming out in September, Overwatch went into open beta, and to celebrate, at 3DRod on Twitter made some neat tracer art. You can check out more of their stuff at 3drod.tumblr.com. A previously imaginary handheld console is becoming a reality, and we had a great time last week at Indiecade East. We have plenty to show you. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Updates. First off, regarding the Nostalrius situation, Blizzard has spoken with the administrators of the Nostalrius World of Warcraft servers that were shut down a few weeks back. What the Nostalrius developers are now saying is that they've as good as become ambassadors for players seeking legacy World of Warcraft servers, and that they shall not release the Nostalrius source code. At least, not yet, because essentially it could be used as leverage when negotiating with Blizzard. In case you're just tuning in, the Nostalrius World of Warcraft servers ran an early version of the game. Over 1 million players chose to play there because it reminded them of the good old pre-expansion days, and a lot of features of the game were different. Unfortunately for these players, Blizzard called for the servers to be shut down, and legally the administrators complied, which led to a lot of outrage. Thus far, Blizzard has been doing a decent job speaking with their fans about what they want regarding legacy servers, which we seem to be getting closer and closer to. Are you a World of Warcraft fan who would begin playing the game again if there were legacy servers? Let us know. The shipping of the consumer version of the Oculus Rift has been, in many ways, a bit of a disaster. Pre-orders for the device opened up a couple of months ago, and demand tremendously overwhelmed supply. During the manufacturing of the devices, there was a shortage of parts, and that threw a wrench into the works. The short of it is that a lot of people are going to be having their Rifts shipped significantly later than they initially bargained for. This week, Oculus VR managed to upset a lot of people when it came out that the Oculus Rift would be available to purchase at Best Buy, meaning that you could just go down to Best Buy and pick up an Oculus Rift and have it in your hands and on your head well before the one you ordered arrives at your door. So why is this happening? I'll give you 2 words. Contractual obligations. It's awful that Oculus VR can't serve your customers before Best Buy, but that's just business as usual. However, to make it up to their customers, Oculus has come out with a new offer. If you go out and purchase an Oculus Rift at Best Buy, you can go to shop.oculus.com/history, check a box that says you've already purchased your Oculus Rift elsewhere, and then you'll still receive your pre-order bonus games. You'll also retain your place in line to get the Oculus Touch controllers once they're ready. Oculus VR has warned to use only this method to cancel a pre-order if you purchase a Rift someplace else, and not to go through Oculus support. Otherwise, you'll lose your place in line as well as your bonuses. While Oculus VR has made some dumb mistakes when it comes to actually shipping their device, they've been surprisingly pro-consumer throughout it all. They've kept up communication with their customers, gave folks extra bonuses when they've been inconvenienced, such as free shipping for people who've been affected by delays, and have done a good job dealing with growing pains. If you're on the fence about getting an Oculus Rift, you can actually try one out at Best Buy. You can find a participating location at live.oculus.com to demo the device.
By visiting our support center at support.oculus.com.
In somewhat happier hardware news, the Pico 8 is going to become a real handheld game console. It's like Pinocchio meets the Atari Lynx. Now, the Pico 8 is a fantasy console by Lexlawful Games. It's really a sort of software development tool that restricts you to making games with very simple graphics in a finite size. That might sound kind of lame, but the true purpose of the Pico 8 is to encourage developers to better optimize their code, and also working with such restraints pushes their creativity. At least, that's how it is for some people. Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention, or game development. A company called NextThing is currently working on making the Pico 8 real by using their Pocket Chip, a system-on-a-chip that's meant to be used for tinkering. It'll ship with a ton of games pre-installed, as many developers have made games for the previously imaginary Pico 8. It's cool to see that it's finally real. You can pre-order one right now from getchip.com. I've played plenty of Overwatch during the game's open beta, which is running until May 9, 2016. During this period, the game's free to play. My thoughts thus far? It's fantastic. Now, Overwatch is a team-based FPS that pits 12 players against one another on surprisingly large maps. Each team has an objective. It could be to accompany a payload to a destination, or to remain in a single location for the longest period of time, or to keep a payload from ever reaching its destination, depending on which team you're on. It's nothing we haven't seen in Team Fortress 2, sure, but Overwatch has thus far taken the formula and done it very well. Like in Team Fortress 2, there's a big focus on character and classes. You have your tanky characters, your healers, your fighters, etc. So while TF2 has 9 playable characters, Overwatch has 21, with more to come. Each character's abilities are somewhat different, to the point that you'll need totally different strategies for playing different characters in a class. So let's say that you want to learn all the support characters. You're going to have to learn to play Lucio differently from the way that you play Mercy, because even though both characters are healers, the way that they heal is different. Mercy plays more like the medic in Team Fortress 2 with an active beam that's directed at another player, while Lucio heals with a passive aura, kind of like a certain support character in Valve's Dota 2. I've played a bunch of these characters thus far, and I love the way that they interact not only mechanically, but thematically. Listen closely, and you'll hear them bantering from time to time. I hate to keep running back to Team Fortress 2, but much like TF2, Overwatch has been getting videos that reveal the world's fiction and characters in a way that's meant to complement the game. However, Overwatch has gone into depth with its world building in ways that Team Fortress 2 has not. While I do think that the story elements could be better integrated into the game itself, keep in mind that this is a beta, and while it's a very polished beta, I still can't pronounce a final judgment for an unfinished game. Aesthetically, Overwatch shines. The characters look like they've fallen out of a Pixar movie, and the big, beautiful arenas look fantastic. There are more than enough details and little touches to keep them from looking empty. Gameplay-wise, Overwatch is addictive. Matches are short. My longest, I think, was about 8 or 9 minutes. It's a very fast-paced game with a surprising sense of balance. I love it thus far, in spite of some minor glitches, such as not being able to swap Mercy's weapons and healing items at pivotal moments in a battle. That was an annoyance. I'm looking forward to seeing what the finished game looks like. Overwatch is coming to Windows, the Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4 on May 24th, 2016. If you've used Steam this week, you may have noticed that there have been some changes made to the way that reviews are organized. Right next to the top-rated reviews is a pane of most recent reviews. This is a welcome change. The reason for this is because there'd all too often be reviews of the game that were out of date at the top of the list. Games can change with time, either for better or for worse. It is imperative to have reviews that reflect that in a convenient place for consumers to see. Additionally, Valve has also added the recent review score system that calculates the positive percentage of reviews within the past month. Hence, if a game that was awful has gotten a very positive reception from its players in the past 30 days thanks to an update, it'll be reflected on the store page. In game releases this week, 2K's Battleborn was released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows. I've not yet tried it, though I have been meaning to. Thus far, Battleborn has gotten pretty good critical reception, and something I've been hearing is that even though on the surface it looks a lot like Overwatch, it plays a lot more like a MOBA, with lanes and creeps and towers to defend. Much like Overwatch, Battleborn has a big emphasis on teamwork and playing to the strengths of the 25 characters in the game. That said, Battleborn is significantly more complex than Overwatch. There's a lot more to its game modes, character abilities, and overall gameplay than appears at first glance. If we were to compare the two games to MOBAs, Overwatch would be Heroes of the Storm, and Battleborn would be Dota 2. From what I've heard, sometimes Overwatch suffers for its complexity, which can at times be overwhelming, but at other times, when everything comes together, it's apparently a fantastic experience. Additionally, the game does have a single-player campaign, and I've heard some mixed things about it. Some folks like the humor, some people aren't quite so keen on it. If you're fond of the comedy of the Borderlands series, you may enjoy Battleborn. Also, while we're here, can we talk about the game's aesthetic? Look at that. I love the way that Overwatch looks, but there's something wonderfully cartoonish about Battleborn that just makes the game seem alive. The hand-drawn explosions by Mr. Gagney really are a great touch, and it all makes me want to try out the game for myself. If you're looking to go in deep with an FPS MOBA, check out Battleborn. Something a little unusual came to Steam this week. Ricerca. It's a virtual reality art experience. It's really not a game, but a piece of abstract art that's thus far gotten surprisingly good reception on Steam. In Ricerca, you follow a bicyclist searching through memories and worlds to find something special that's been lost. It's only 99 cents on Steam, and it's available for the HTC Vive. If trippy first-person puzzlers are more your thing, might I suggest checking out Yawn Paradox? Released on Steam this week, Yawn Paradox is a game about what happens when a time machine goes berserk. Your actions in your initial playthroughs will have an effect on you as you go through the game. You are both your best friend and your worst enemy. The game really calls for you to think non-linearly. I've not yet played the game, but I really like the look of it. The premise sounds tremendous as well. Yawn Paradox is out for Windows and is compatible with the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, though it's also playable without VR. Another neat puzzle game on Steam this week is Glitch Space. Now in this game you have to use visual programming to modify your environment and solve puzzles. While having programming knowledge is helpful, it's not necessary to the experience. That said, you can expect to walk away from Glitch Space with newfound knowledge not so much of programming in any specific language, but of logic, the fundamentals you need to begin programming. Glitch Space has thus far gotten great reviews from the players, and it's currently available on Mac and Windows. Out now on the PlayStation 4 is Push Me, Pull You, a wonderfully horrifying wrestling game for 2 to 4 players. I went hands-on with this one at Indiecade East, and you know what? It's a lot more fun than it looks. Essentially, you take control of one half of 2 incredibly stretchy people who are joined at the torso. You are up against 2 other very stretchy people, and you have to wrestle for control of the ball. You have to keep it on your side long enough in order to win the game. It's really weird and plays best with 4 people, and overall, I do think that it's worth picking up if you're not too grossed out. If you own a PlayStation 4 and you're in the market for a new party game, check it out. It'll be hitting Windows, Mac, and Linux at a later date. If you're looking for a game for your Samsung Gear VR, might I recommend SwingStar? Released this week, it's another game that I got to go hands-on with at Indiecade. Imagine, if you will, a game in which you're swinging from floating post to floating post, avoiding obstacles and flying high. If ever we see a Spider-Man virtual reality game, I hope it takes a lesson or two from SwingStar. It's exhilarating, but it also manages to avoid being nauseating by being in third person. It's very simple to play, and it's a lot of fun. In addition to being available on Gear VR, it's also out now for the Oculus Rift. Released on Wii U, Mac, Linux, and Windows this week is Tadpole Treble, a music game in which you play as a tadpole swimming through sheet music, dodging troublesome musical notes and running into the right ones. The game was created by Matthew Taranto of Brawl in the Family fame. It looks very cute, and the music in the trailer is incredibly catchy. If you're looking for a new music game, you might want to check this one out.
Swing by the store in Tadpole Trouble for the Wii U
And Steve.
Make stages for ages and share them with friends. Create songs all night long and throw some foes in. Play through 'em, bamboo 'em, the fun never ends in Tadpole Trouble for the Wii U.
And Steam.
Do well for sweet prizes, rewards of all shapes and sizes, nab scores for the leaderboards. forevermore you'll be adored. There's songs full of singing and lyrics to match, and creatures that happen to think you're a catch. Play stages, compete, or create them from scratch. If you want something quirky and new, it's true. Play Tadpole Trouble for the Wii U.
And now, for a brief word from our sponsor.
Here's a dirty little secret. When you wash your face at the end of the day, you might only be cleaning the surface of your skin. To clear those congested pores, you need a deep clean. And today, you can get it with Proactive's incredible deep cleansing brush. And here's something even more incredible. You get the brush free when you order a Proactive system today.
I love the deep cleansing brush because it really gets in those pores.
I was using a brush that was over $200, and I like this so much better.
This isn't just any brush. This is the only one from the doctors at Proactive, so it's specially designed for acne-prone skin. Call the number on your screen now to get America's #1 acne brand for just $19.95. Be among the first 500 callers, and you'll also get the deep cleansing brush free, plus more secrets for flawless skin. That's a $93 value for just $19.95.
You only have 2 hands, but you have a whole lot of bristles.
This is such an incredible offer that supplies are limited. Call the number on your screen now.
We got a snippet of news this week that Respawn Entertainment is working on a new Star Wars game, and that's all we got, a snippet. We know that Respawn is behind the Titanfall series, and that this new game will be some sort of third-person action-adventure, but that's it. We did get a pretty cool logo out of it, though. We have some breaking news, folks. This is coming in as we're producing this episode. Electronic Arts has just announced Battlefield 1, which is taking the series back to its historical roots. The game is set during World War I and is coming to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC on October 21st, 2016. I'm not particularly fond of war games, but it is nice to see World War I, a rather underutilized setting, at play here. If you look closely, you'll notice some mustard gas right here in the trailer. Hopefully they don't gloss over all the terrible things that happened during that conflict. In crowdfunding news, the Kickstarter for Hologrid went live this week. This is a game that we covered previously. Hologrid is an upcoming trading card game that's inspired by holochess in Star Wars. In fact, Phil Tippett, the legendary animator who created holochess, is working on the project. Hologrid uses physical cards with augmented/virtual reality to create a sort of mixed reality game. You see the creatures projected onto your real-world environment. It's a fast-paced PvP game that's in development for iOS and Android. The Kickstarter has a base goal of $100,000. If the developers hit a $750,000 stretch goal, the game will be brought to PC. Personally, I'm looking forward to Hologrid. I've been following it for a while, and I'm hoping it sees plenty of success. I really like the augmented/virtual reality aspect of it. It's a little bit reminiscent of Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you can remember that show/card game which is actually still going. Another neat game that hit Kickstarter this week is Rock, a Martian survival sandbox MMO. I got to interview the developer at PAX East a couple weeks ago. I'll have him explain the game to you. Please excuse the funny camera work and audio as our camera died and we had to record our interview with the smartphone.
So how long has Rock been in development?
So we started coding Rock actually in January, so it's a very early, very new project. We've been pre-producing it, so designing, doing all the concept design, starting in January with a very small team, and now we're really excited. We have almost 20 people now working on the project, and to try to ship the best version of the game in early access in September.
Excellent. So now, how long have you been in game development?
Well, several years. I was actually working at Ubisoft. In the past, I was working on Assassin's Creed, and the whole team actually is a team of veteran people, so working either actually on Assassin's Creed or on MMOs like the Secret World or Age of Conan. So we're really confident that we will deliver a pretty high-quality experience in September.
Very cool. Now, I have to ask this of everybody. What's your favorite game of all time?
Well, the game I committed the most time was Counter-Strike, so I spent a lot of time with the game. that's still in my mind all the time is probably not pretty unknown to most of you, which is called Mankind. It was probably one of the first real persistent MMO back in the day, so it was I guess 1998. It was an amazing experience. That was the first game where when your base got attacked and you were logged off, you would receive a text message telling you to go back online, because it was completely persistent.
So what sort of games would you say have inspired Rock?
So we're a big fan of survival games. So we played a lot of DayZ, Rust. These are great games, and of course we got very much inspired from them. The only thing we tried to do differently here is we want to make the survival experience much more about surviving the environment more than surviving other players. So Mars is the main character in this game. Mars is that hero that's going, or that enemy that's going to try to, that will challenge you all the time with dust storms, meteorite fall, solar rain. It's always going to be a challenge to survive on that planet.
Very cool. So now, if the folks at home want to find out more about Rock, where can they go?
They go on rockthegame.com. So Rock is ROKH, and they'll find plenty of information. We have a devlog, we're sharing a lot of it, and of course we have a social media channel, so Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of it.
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to checking out more of Rock. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much. See you soon on Mars.
So, you've probably heard me talking about Indiecade East during this week's episode. What exactly is Indiecade? Put simply, Indiecade is a festival that celebrates independent games. It's a home for strange games that might be overlooked elsewhere, and it's a place for the cutting edge, the avant-garde in the world of games. This year, Indiecade East took place a week apart from PAX East, and the difference between the two shows couldn't be bigger. They were both about games, sure, but if PAX was a rave, Indiecade was a cocktail party, and you know what? I had a great time at both. I got to check out some fascinating games at Indiecade, such as Line Wobbler, a one-dimensional dungeon crawler, Push Me, Pull You, that I mentioned earlier, and VEC9, a Soviet-themed arcade game that uses vector graphics. That's pretty rare. Besides playing neat games, I also interviewed some cool people and attended some informative panels. Be sure to stick with us for more coverage of Indiecade, and check out our site to read all about the best stuff we saw at the show. Well, that's it for this week's game news. For all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Blackman and Robin. And be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my own views. Also, check out our website, blackmanandrobin.com, for handy links to all the cool stuff from today's episode.